She's standing at her husband's grave right now, and she still doesn't know if she should feel guilty or relieved. Because what Adana discovered that evening changed everything she thought she knew about the man she married. And trust me, you're not ready for this story. 3 months before everything fell apart, Adana was the most envied woman in Yumyu's village. Her husband Chak was tall, successful, owned the biggest pharmacy in town, and treated her like a queen. Every woman at the market would whisper, "Adana is so lucky," when she passed by. But there was something nobody knew. Every full moon, Chak would disappear. Not in some mysterious, dramatic way. No. He'd kiss Adana's forehead around evening time, tell her he had an emergency meeting with suppliers in the city, and vanish until the next afternoon. Regular as clockwork. Every single full moon. For 2 years, she believed him. Why wouldn't she? He always came back with gifts, gold earrings, expensive fabrics, and perfumes from Lagos. He'd hold her close and say, "I'm sorry I left you alone, my love." But that evening in September, something shifted inside Adana. It started when her neighbor, Mama Ngozi, grabbed Adana's arm at the boho. Her eyes were wide with something between pity and fear. "Adana," she whispered, glancing around to make sure no one else could hear. "I saw your husband's car yesterday evening. During the full moon." Adana's stomach dropped. "That's impossible. He was in the city." Mama Ngozi shook her head slowly. "His car was parked behind the old community hall. I recognized the license plate. I almost went to greet him, but..." She hesitated. The way he was looking around, like he didn't want to be seen. "I got scared and left." Adana laughed it off. Told her she must have been mistaken. But that seed of doubt, it had been planted. 2 weeks later, Adana was ready. The full moon was approaching, and this time, she had a plan. She told Chak she'd be spending the evening at her mother's house in the next village. Watched him try to hide his relief. He even offered to drive her there himself, but she insisted on taking a motorcycle taxi instead. "I'll be back tomorrow afternoon," she said, kissing him goodbye. "Take care, my love," he replied, already reaching for his phone. But Adana didn't go to her mother's house. Instead, she went to her friend Obayoma's place, just 3 streets away. Obayoma, who had been her friend since primary school and who had also noticed Chak's strange pattern. "Are you sure about this?" Obayoma asked, handing her a dark wrapper to blend in with the evening shadows. "I need to know," Adana said firmly. "Whatever it is, I need to know." As the sun began to set, painting the sky orange and purple, they watched from Obayoma's window. Like clockwork, Chak emerged from their house at exactly 6:47 p.m. Freshly showered, wearing his expensive senator outfit, carrying a leather bag Adana had never seen before. He didn't take his car. That was the first shock. Instead, he started walking, confidently, purposefully, toward the old part of the village. "Let's go," Adana whispered, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. Following Chak through Yumyu's village was harder than Adana expected. He kept looking over his shoulder, taking strange turns through narrow paths between compounds. Twice, she and Obayoma had to press themselves against walls, hearts racing, as he stopped and scanned the area. He was definitely hiding something. They followed him past the market square, past the primary school, past the chief's compound. Then he turned into a path that made Adana's blood run cold. The path leading to the old shrine. Nobody went there anymore. Not since the village converted to Christianity 20 years ago. The shrine had been abandoned, left to be swallowed by weeds and forgotten by time. Or so everyone thought. But as they got closer, Adana heard something that made her stop breathing. Voices. Multiple voices. Chanting. "Jesus Christ," Obayoma whispered beside her. "What is this?" They crept closer, hiding behind the massive Iroko tree that stood at the shrine's entrance. And what Adana saw through the gaps in the old bamboo fence made her legs weak. There were at least 15 people there. Men and women from the village. People she knew. The woman who sold vegetables at the market. The teacher from the secondary school. The bank manager. The pastor's wife. They were dressed in white. All of them. White wrappers, white beads around their necks and wrists. In the center of the clearing was something that looked like an altar, covered with red cloth. Candles flickered everywhere, and the smell of incense filled the air. But it was what was on the altar that made Adana's hands fly to her mouth to stop herself from screaming. Money. Stacks and stacks of money. More money than she had ever seen in her life. Naira notes bundled together, covering the entire altar. And surrounding the money were photographs, dozens of photographs of different people from the village. Chek raised his hands, and the chanting stopped immediately. His voice, when he spoke, was different. Deeper. More commanding. This wasn't the gentle husband who made her breakfast every Sunday. Brothers and sisters, he said, his voice carrying through the evening air. Another full moon brings us together. Another moon brings us prosperity. Our sacrifices have been accepted. Look at how our businesses flourish while others struggle. Look at how sickness passes over our homes while others suffer. Adana felt Obayoma's hand squeeze hers painfully tight. Chek continued, walking around the altar. But prosperity requires maintenance. Wealth requires investment. He paused, letting his words sink in. Some of you have brought the required offerings. Some of you have brought photographs of those who stand in your way, those who block your progress. He picked up one of the photographs, holding it up to the moonlight. Mama Ikin, you brought your co-wife's picture. You say she wants to chase you from your matrimonial home. A woman stepped forward. Adana recognized her immediately. They bought fish from the same market woman. Yes, Dibia Chek. She poisons my husband's mind against me. Since she came, I have known no peace. Dibia. Adana's mind reeled. Her husband was a Dibia. A native doctor. But he went to church every Sunday. He led Bible study on Wednesdays. Your offering has been accepted, Chek said, placing the photograph back on the altar. Before the next full moon, her tongue will fail her. She will not be able to speak against you again. The group erupted in praise and thanks to the gods. Adana watched, frozen, as one by one, different people stepped forward with photographs, with requests, with offerings. And Chek, her husband, the man she had shared a bed with for 3 years, was making it all happen. Then Chek did something that made Adana's entire world collapse. He opened the leather bag he had been carrying and pulled out a photograph. Even from where she was hiding, Adana could see it clearly in the candlelight. It was her. Her own wedding photo. My brothers and sisters, Chek said, his voice carrying a note of sadness that sounded almost genuine. I must make my own offering today. My wife, Adana, she is a good woman. Kind. Beautiful. But. He paused, and Adana saw him touch the photograph almost tenderly. But she cannot give me a child. 3 years of marriage, and her womb remains closed. The spirits have revealed to me that her late mother placed a curse on her before dying, jealous that her daughter would know happiness she herself never had. And as long as Adana lives, this curse will block not just my lineage, but my prosperity. The spirits say my business will begin to fail. My health will deteriorate. Everything I have built will crumble. No. No, no, no. Adana's mind screamed. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. So today, Chek continued, placing her photograph on the altar next to all the others, I make this offering. I ask the gods to take her gently. Let it look like an accident. Let it be painless. She is a good woman, and she deserves to die with dignity. The group murmured their agreement. One woman even said, "You are merciful, Dibiachek." Another man would ask for her to suffer. Beside Adana, Obioma was shaking, tears streaming down her face. She grabbed Adana's arm, trying to pull her away, whispering urgently, "We need to leave. Now. Now." But Adana couldn't move. She watched as her husband, the man who had kissed her forehead that very evening, pulled out a small bottle from his bag and poured its contents over her photograph. Before the next full moon, he declared, "Adana will be gone. And I will be free to marry again. Free to have the children, the legacy, the unlimited prosperity the gods have promised me." The group began chanting again, and that's when Adana finally found her legs. She ran.